Hello and welcome, I am Fan, and today we'll be taking a look at the deck that I managed to get to the finals with in the January tournament of Gemblenders. I did lose because of a lot of misplays. I think the deck is really good and consistent. It's mostly more or less able to get itself out more or less without depending on what you're drawing. It forces you into the cards you need. It can get you there. It's supposed to be a Horizon Gazer deck, which is why there are three there. But in actuality, it's more surrounding Polystuster, and Horizon Gazer is just a good effect to copy. It's just typically really hard to use. It needs 5 gems compared to just Polystuster, and when you have Reggie, you can just switch between a Crystal Reflector, which will copy Polystuster before you Polystuster copies effect, and that way you have 2 Polystusters out for the cost of 7 gems compared to 8, and in this case, where you can then switch around effects that you need, where we can have Plume Charger, we can have Bond Breaker, we can even just go full offensive and just go Verve Conflictor after having Bond broken all the cards that we need to get away with. So that's the idea. You have Bond Breaker to take away threats on the opponent's side, to limit their capabilities. We have Plume Charger to hail down fire with Pirate Gems, deal a lot of damage. With Horizon Gazer in the back line in form of Polystuster, we don't need to discard them, and then with 2 Crystal Reflectors on the side, you will be able to deal a lot of damage. Yeah. We have Bluster Mage, so we're able to search out any card we need. We have Aurora Beamer, just 1 copy, because we can search it out with Bluster Mage when we need it. We have running 3 copies of Super Blend Search, so we can get them when we need them. And as well, the only real big issue is to get Polystuster out. But we running Selma to make sure we're getting it. We're running Minseo to manage to get our bishops, and if we're having a bishop in hand, the third card will be an angel that helps us getting around where we need to be. Yeah, and I think that's everything major. We're running a 4 switch because there are some decks that just lose just because they cannot switch around. So it can be a win button at times, or it can also just get a ghost away from where you don't want it to be, and then you can bond break it or just win the game with Hellfire. And cancels just to limit opponent scope. One big reason why we don't want to run Horizon Gazer as a blend, we don't want to blend Horizon Gazer, is because it takes 5 gem types. With just running Horizon Gazer, we're going down on 4 gems, so that limits the number of gems that we have in the deck, ups the consistency, and when running Judith, we just need to find 1 gem type, either Lucio or Pyro Gem, and that way we make sure that we will always get into the gems we need for Bishop. And because of the mulligan rule, you are very likely to get either a Pyro Gem or Lucio Gem. That's 18 gems in total, and as long as you just get one of them, you're running. That's why we're running Judith, that's why we're running Selma, that's why we're running Minseo, that's to get the bishops out and to make sure we're getting the Polystuster, and with Polystuster we can get anything. Because with Bishop we get Bluster Mage, we get our Crystal Reflectors, and if we don't have anything, we just discard a gem with Bluster Mage, which shouldn't be a Cryo Gem. And I think that's the major thing. So I will just have a test game and I'll showcase how it's supposed to go through the game. Start a local game. Yeah, that's It's a lot of cards I have here. Polished Horizon, there you go. You can see them all lined up if you like to see that. Right, so for the setup, we want to run Minso and back because we're not gonna blend on it. And we want the defenses and the attack of our Crystal Reflector and Polish Dusters, even if they're not gonna do much. And then for round 2, we're gonna sub it out for Reggie to switch around when we need to. We have Judith to get the gems we need. We have Selma to get Polish Duster or just the cast we need. If we're running against Matthew, we don't necessarily need to use Selma if we have the cast we want, but that's fine. And then we have Leilani to get the gems where we need them. So because Judith takes up a gem, Minso takes up a gem, we would need to have 6 gems out, 6 specific gems out to get Polish Duster out. So that's round 6. And in this case, we are just running 4 gems. Leilani takes them all to her, and we're good to go. And so that's why Leilani is so good, because she gets the gems where you need them to be. And here you can see we're already having the Pyro gems, we have the Cryo, Arrow, and we have the Bishop, which means we will be able to get an Angel with Minso. So very good start. So we'll get Pyro gem onto Judith. And with Judith, we're just getting that Lucio gem, so we can get Bishop later. And then with Selma, we are getting our Polish Duster. So as you can see, the deck essentially finds itself more or less. Alright, so that was round 1, then we have round 2. It's good to draw into Pyro gems, it's quite fine. Right, so we don't quite yet want to put Lucio gem out, because we want to put it on Judith to get the Bishop. So that's why we're running Arrow or Cryo gem, it doesn't really matter, whatever there is. And then we find the Bishop. And though we aren't bishoping from turn 2, we'll still be doing on turn 3 and then double on turn 4, so it's fine. Right, so it's round 2, right, going into, sorry, turn 2, turn 3, keeping on the Pyro gems, it's fine, we don't really care what we're drawing at this stage. Alright, so we're getting the Lucio gem on Judith, getting a Bishop on her, discard, deblending it to find what we want, getting a Blustermate just in case we need to find any blends at any point. And then it doesn't really matter much what we're getting, though we want to get Cryo and Lucios, and I'm running 4 Cryo gems and 5 Lucios in total, so I just want to get the Cryo gem out because there's higher likelihood to draw into the Lucio gems than there is to draw into the Cryo gems. Right, and then with Minso we're getting our 3rd Bishop. Right, so that's turn 3. Turn 4. We drew into our Polish Duster. It's fine. And that's why I actually want to run 2 Polish Dusters, because that way you're still semi resistant to losing them. The whole deck falls apart if you lose all your Polish Dusters, so that's quite bad. I want to run over the changes that I want to make after the game. Alright, so we have Crygem, Pyro and Lucio out, so we want to have Aerogem on Leilani, but before we do that, we're going to use Minso one last time. And Bishop on Judith one last time, this deblending Bishop to get, and I think I just want to get my Lucio gem out, so we make sure of that. So we have our Reflector when when we need to do that. Right, and then we're getting our Crystal Reflector as well, and we are getting our Angel from Minso. Alright, so what we're going to do here is Aerogem on Leilani, and then get the Cryo, the Pyro, and the Lucio. We're using her inward energy effect. That helps a lot with getting all gems where you need to. I don't think it's OP. It has a very specific niche, and right now, I don't know if the strongest meta we're playing, but at least the way we want to play, it consolidates that. It goes very well with that, is what I mean. Right, so now we have the Pyro and Lucio on Leilani, and then we can use our third bishop to just get whatever we want. And in that case, I'll get my second Crystal Reflector, and I will actually just get our Arrow Gem. And that's because I can now just discard that. I don't need any more Arrow Gems. I already have the Arrow Gem I need on Leilani, and Crystal Reflector doesn't need it. So I'll get Polish Duster out. Right here we would like to have, what's it called? Aurora Beamer. To get more gems to get through our deck, thin it out, essentially. But we don't have it, so that's why we're forced to copy Bluster Mage. From hand, discarding that Arrow Gem we just found. And you should not discard Lucio or Cryogems. Worst scenario, just discard a Pyro Gem. I lost the finals because of this, because you need to make sure you're getting the Cryogems for Judith or Selma to get the next Crystal Reflector. Alright, so with Bluster Mage we're getting into our Aurora Beamer. And that's why we're running Bluster Mage right now. It does sound like there are changes coming up that makes Polish Duster only able to copy Lucio Gemblenders, which I think is a good change. It will of course lose Bluster Mage, which is it's fine. Alright, so that's the end of round 4. We used quite a lot of effects, and we drew into our Bondbreaker, so that's really nice. Right, so we just want to start Aurora Beaming, and it's just easier for me to just control 4. You have to reveal them to your opponent as well, but it's just easier showcasing it here. And finding a Pyro and a Lucio, and then Verve Conflictor is put at the bottom, which is like not ideal, but we manage. Then we get the Cryo and Judith. It doesn't matter if it's Selma or Judith. That's also the strength of having Crystal Reflector. You are allowed to have lower leveled blends compared to if you were running true Plume Charger, where you would be forced to have 2 level 4 blends here. But it is what it is, right? Yeah, so that's all from this turn 6. And you cannot copy the same effect twice. But and I don't really want to discard my Lucio Gems because I want it on Selma for my second Crystal Reflector. But I am gonna copy Bluster Mage to discard a Pyro Gem, which is like not ideal because you want to have a lot of gems for Bondbreaker and Plume Charger later on. But it's fine. It's fine in general. So we search our deck, and this time I would like to have my Horizon Gazer, because that way we make sure to be able to have Bondbreaker combo coming up. Oh yeah, and with the Lucio ruling we would also lose Bondbreaker, which I think is good. Bondbreaker shouldn't be this easy to get out. I think it's healthy to have some amount of destruction in the game, but not to this degree where it's so easy to do. Right, so that's end of round 6, getting into round 7. Right, so we have our Cryo and Lucio Gems for Selma. Right, so we're getting our Pyro on Judith, getting Crystal Reflect out, and now first I want to have Polish Duster reflect Aurora Beamer. Reflecting Aurora Beamer from hand, and then after that I'm gonna have Crystal Reflector reflect Polish Duster's Aurora Beamer effect. So I'm just gonna put it like that. Control W4, getting a Lucio Gem, a Cryo Gem, which is not really what we want to see. We want to see our Pyro Gems here. We don't have any need for the Cryo and Lucio Gems. Other cards at the bottom of our library, and then we do it again. Yeah, we find our pyros. And sad to see the Super Blend Search go to the bottom. But it is what it is. Alright. So just get it to hand. Getting another Pyro Gem. Alright, so here's the fun part. If we don't see any threats, we can just continue to bulk up using Aurora Beamer. And I think I'm just going to showcase that. So Crystal Reflector into Crystal Reflector reflects or Polish Duster, and then takes from hand Aurora Beamer. So it ends up with Aurora Beamer as an effect. Polish Duster is going to reflect Crystal Reflector from hand. And with that effect, that's going to reflect Crystal Reflector's Aurora Beamer. So it's a bit convoluted, but it gets around the secondary the restriction of Polish Duster, where Effect Mirror cannot reflect the same effect twice. But we are not reflecting the same effect twice with Effect Mirror. We're just reflecting Crystal Reflector's effect Blend Mirror, and then after that we are reflecting Aurora Beamer. And Crystal Reflector isn't restricted by Polish Duster's restriction because it's a different hero. It's different blend, so it gets around it that way. Alright, so Control W4. Yeah, so we're running low on gems, I see. At this point, we're probably close to getting through the whole deck again. Right, and we're having all the Pyro Gems we need. I'm just gonna attach the Lucio to Selma. There. Alright, round 9. Alright, so we drew into the Plume Charger, which is good. Alright, so considering if we haven't gone into round 2 at this point, having lost round 1, what we're gonna do now is we're gonna copy what we're gonna do. Right, yeah, so we're gonna yeah, that's fine. That's fine. Crystal Reflector reflects Polish Duster again. This time we cannot copy Aurora Beamer, but that's fine because we're gonna copy Angel and get it to the back. Switch it to the back because that way it can copy Horizon Gazer next turn and begin using either Bond Breaker or Plume Charger as the game needs. Polish Duster, because it hasn't copied Aurora Beam with Effect Mirror last turn, it's gonna copy it now. And we're gonna just have a one last check through the deck. And we're quite unhappy to see the Lucio and the Aero Gems. We would much rather draw into them. Because they fill up our decks and we don't need any more of them essentially. That way we're more resistant to getting our deck thinned out. Milling, there we go. Alright, so round turn 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 10 Pyro Gems. We need one more for Crystal Reflector on Selma. The sad thing is we don't have a second Crystal Reflector in hand, which we kinda don't need at this very moment. Alright, so I'm gonna attach Pyrogem to Selma, because then that way Crystal Reflector can come out. Alright, so this Crystal Reflector reflects Polished Duster, and then reflects Polished Horizon Gazer from hand. Oh, wrong. Alright, then Horizon Polished Duster is going to reflect either Plume Charger or Bond Breaker, whatever is needed. And then this Crystal Reflector is going to reflect Polished Duster's Plume Charger or Bond Breaker. Whatever it has right now. So we're gonna Plume Charger for 918 damage or Bond Breaker twice. So whatever you do, like you do a lot of disruption or damage to the opponent, whatever you need at that very moment. Alright, turn 11. Alright, so now we have our Super Blend search. So in case Verve Conflictor is the way to go, you can search it out. You could search out your Plume Charger or Bond Breaker if that's what you were missing. And that's, yeah, that's kinda how it's running. So in this case here, we already copied either Plume Charger or Bond Breaker, because, oh yeah, and then you could also just search out this third Crystal Reflector, which we actually gonna do. Shuffling our deck, and cancel to mitigate issues there, because that way, if we said that we had Plume Charger last turn, alright, Polished Duster cannot copy Plume Charger. Crystal Reflector cannot reflect Horizon Gazer either, actually. I just realized. So we actually forced to... we should have gotten Verve Conflictor. That could probably have finished the game. It's what it is. It is what it is. Alright, so let's just say that instead of this third Crystal Reflector, which helps you getting around the restriction of Polished Duster, we just get Verve Conflictor instead. Doesn't really matter. Crystal Reflector down here, gonna reflect Polished Duster, to reflect Angel from hand, and switch with Minseo, so it's in position for next turn. Minseo is going to just get a Lucio gem attached, actually an Arrow gem attached. Right. And then Polished Duster is gonna copy Verve Conflictor from hand, and Crystal Reflector is gonna reflect that same effect again. And at this point we should be going to round 2. Just gonna copy, get Reggie out. And now, like, we can do whatever. We can do whatever. We just switching around whatever we need to do. We can get whatever card we need to the back line, Leilani, Polished Duster. We can copy any effect we want. That way, even if Polished Duster has copied Horizon Gazer last turn, we just get it to the sides. And now Crystal Reflector can copy Horizon Gazer, so we can just continue on Plume Charging. We can continue on Bond Breaking if that's what we want to do, and we can search out our last Horizon Gazer, Crystal Reflector, and get around the restriction of Polished Duster, and then continue to Verve Conflictor with all the cards that we want to do it with. So that's kind of the deck. So using Aurora Beamer and Bishop to set up, making sure that we get the cards we need with Bluster Mage, and then we utilize Horizon Gazer's effect to use Plume Charger and Bond Breaker, and then we are going to utilize Verve Conflictor, abuse Verve Conflictor's no cap effect after having destroyed the whole field with Bond Breaker. And we have this flexibility because we're just running Polystosses and Crystal Reflectors, so it's quite cool in that sense. And I think there's a lot of decks that you can build around this setup, Crystal Reflector, Polystoster, which also gets me to the last part of this talk. Oh yeah, sorry. Wanted to showcase. Sorry, we have Yumi in the background as well. In case we get to round 2, we don't have the cards that we need. We don't have this third Crystal Reflector out. We just play Yumi and get the cards we need. In case Reggie, in case we don't want to run Reggie. So this deck, I know Ben has a different iteration of this deck where he runs a bit more smooth. He hits the ground sooner, where I hit the ground harder in that case if I don't make mistakes. This deck is very volatile to deck milling. As you can see over here, I'm getting a lot of cards out with Aurora Beamer, so it does have that weakness. It can be targeted on the Aura Gems, because I only run 3, and because I only need one of them, like I G'd them with Bluster Mage, I put them on Minso, and after that, Reggie, and after that you can just take the one from Polystoster and I'm done. I'm essentially done. And actually that gets me to changes that I want to make for the deck. So I want to take out at least one Horizon Gazer, maybe even 2, because it's so easy to find with Bluster Mage and so on. I'm gonna want to remove at least one Polystoster, so that opens up the deck for 3 cards to add. And I know at least 2 cards I want to take in. And the one is Flurry Shifter. So this is essentially an early disruption to get opponents' blends where you want them to be, where you want them to be. You can get around Ghost this way, where usually with Bondbreaker you have to sacrifice a lot of gems. Flurry Shifter essentially gives you the same, but only discards 1 gem. So it's quite easy to just discard the leftover Lucio, leftover Cryo gems. That's really helpful. The second card I want to add is Condensation Collector. In case you get disrupted, you can easily get your gems back. So that's quite good. And a third card, I remember thinking about a third card, but yeah, there are for sure cards that would be good to include. Some kind of recycling, if they're the state, I don't really remember that. I'm sure you could use Skyward Commander in some fashion, but the thing is, it's just another Plume Charger because it only doubles non-attack damage dealt this turn. So unless you're already having 2 Plume Charger effects out and then Skyward Commander as the third, it's not really doing much. Yeah. There's a lot of fun effects out there. Cannon Boomer doesn't really work because you don't really have the capability to shift a lot of gems around. Though with Cannon Boomer you could run Juggler, Mineral Juggler, and with all those effects, like you could do a lot of fun stuff. And with where is it? yeah, and Bloom Irrigator, you can save a lot of aqua gems that way. So there is definitely some other good effects out there in its current state. I think I'll make a video going over Lucio gem only combinations at some point. But yeah, so that was my Horizon Polisher deck. Thank you for watching.